Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank some people. Today, I want to thank my anchor sponsors, Sergio Armenta and James Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for sponsoring the podcast. If you guys like reading, you should check out his book, The Tragedy of the Red-Eyed Girl. You can find it on Amazon. He's a teacher at the high school. I don't know if you know.
So I was studying to be a teacher, and I did some of my community hours with him.
Oh,
so
really?
I got to see how he teaches.
Yeah, he's a really cool teacher.
Yeah, he is a good teacher.
And an excellent writer, too. So check out his book. Also want to thank my friends Frank and Patty for allowing me to record today's episode here at the Golden Dragon restaurant. Make sure you come by and support local businesses. They have great Chinese food here, so make sure to stop by. Also, a quick PSA, this Saturday, Calexico is celebrating its second Oktoberfest. There's gonna be like music, stand-up comedy, food, beer, obviously, and a lot of family fun activities. So make sure to stop by at Crumit Park. Starts from 5 to 1 a.m. So that should be fun. Also, I got an email today from the Imperial Valley Parent Conference. Having a conference this weekend at Willie Moreno.
Oh, wow.
It's from 8 to 12:30. There's a $15 fee, but this conference provides a forum for English and Spanish-speaking families of children with special needs to learn, network, and find support that best meets their child's needs. Because a lot of times when you're, as a parent, you especially have kids with
special needs, yeah.
It's kind of hard,
But there's a fee? $15?
$15 fee, yeah.
For Willie Moreno. Wow.
But yeah, you know what? They actually asked if I could go cover something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you might be interested in.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So I think Billy Kang made a report on it.
Maybe because he works the weekends. I don't work on the weekends.
Oh, okay. I see. You're smart. So yeah, I actually, before I came here, I posted the flyers on my Facebook. So if you're interested, go check out my Facebook page, and check out the flyers and maybe be an attendee. Unfortunately, there's a $15 fee. I don't know why, but
they're gonna learn some things, or it's for the parents.
Yeah, for parents to kind of network, and I think there's some of the presenters are gonna be parents themselves. And,
okay.
Specialists too. So it should be a lot of good information. But yeah, today's guest is Alexandra Rangel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I've been following you on Instagram, and actually, you and Billy Kang kind of make the news, a little bit more funner, and
You think? I try to stay entertained.
And I think my favorite part is because when I follow you on Instagram, you kind of see behind the scenes of you going on vacation. So I don't know if that's your goal or
you know what. And I need to. I'm thinking of changing my Instagram handle to reflect more something like reportera or something along those lines, because that's what people are more interested, what happens behind the scenes. People think I have a camera guy that I don't know, they think it's something else, but it's not,
because when you see it on TV or movies, there's always a camera guy and a reporter. I mean, I'm sure it happens in big networks, right? When it's like that. But
I also do all the editing and all that stuff, and people are like, "Oh, well, you know how to do that." I'm like, "Yeah, I try. I'm not the best editor,
But before we get into all that, I always give my guests an opportunity to kind of tell us a little bit about themselves. Not maybe before you becoming a reporter, what your little history here in Calexico and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm from Calexico. Born in Brawley. Raised in El Centro. I grew up in El Centro. My grandparents are from Calexico, so we were always here. But I actually grew up Hamilton Street, right in front of Wilson Junior High School. Went to Hedrick Elementary. And then after 6th grade, my mom, she got a job in Calexico as a teacher. So we moved over here, and that's when I started going to Willie Moreno. I went to Calexico High School, which I loved. I remember when I went to Willie, it was a complete culture shock for me. I left all my friends from El Centro, and I met a great group of friends here in Calexico, and I'm glad we did the move. The cities were really near each other, but it's completely different, I think. Graduated from Calexico High School 2011. Okay. So, yeah. And then after that, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to IBC, of course, which I loved IBC. Yeah. I had a lot of friends that they didn't want to go to IBC. They're like, no, I'm getting out of here. They went to San Diego, LA. But I went to IVC. I just took the general classes, and there I took it was like a journalism, like beginning class, like journalism 101 or something like that. And I was like, oh, wow, I kind of like this, you know? And from there, I applied to SDSU to do journalism and media studies. Originally, I wanted to like work with a fashion magazine. Originally, I wanted to go like to fashion school.
Yeah.
Went to the fashion school. It was so expensive. And I wasn't sure if it would be a degree that would be worth it, you know, like.
Yeah, so like it's just like fashion.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would pay off at the end. So I was like, no, I'll go to SDSU, get a degree in journalism. And then if I still want to do the fashion route, I'll just like somehow make my way through there. But while at SDSU, I completely changed course. I started doing radio. I had a radio show with my best friend there. What was it called? It was called like The Hookup with Deanna and Alex. We would just talk about random things, current events, and then just give our opinion on that. And then I also wrote for the Daily Aztec there at SDSU. And that was just, I graduated after that and wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I started subbing, came back to Calexico and actually started subbing here. So I was a substitute for about 3 years.
Oh.
But then I moved back to San Diego and subbed there for a while too. I was like kind of back and forth. I was like a hybrid, you know? And then, so I started going to school to be a teacher actually here at SDSU. I came back and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this teacher thing. My mom's a teacher. I was subbing. I enjoyed it. Good money also. And then my last semester of my teaching credential program, I was like, no, you know, I study journalism. I kind of want to see where it takes me. So I went back to San Diego, to San Diego City College. And there is where I did more of like the broadcasting. They had a show there that would run every Friday on like a local channel. And that's where I got my experience. I probably did, I want to say my second semester, I applied to a news station up there, KUSI. And I got hired as a news writer. I was there about 7 months. And then I was still going to school while there, and I was preparing a newsreel to be a reporter or an anchor, mostly a reporter. It was never like my intention to be a reporter. It just like kind of turned out that way. And I knew that I wanted to work here though, from the station in Yuma, KYMA. I knew I wanted to come back home and like work here locally. So that was the only place I applied. Like my professor was like, no, you got to make me a list. I need you need options. Like if they don't hire you, where are you going to go? And I was like, no, like they need to hire me. You know, I don't want to go. I didn't want to go far away. Yeah. Cause I was already like in San Diego for a couple of years and away from my family, and I'm really close to them. So I wanted to come back home. So, but they hired me. They hired me. So I came back. It's been 7 crazy months and here I am back in the Valley.
So you were never like, because a lot of people like, oh, since they're kids, like, oh, I want to be a reporter. Like, it's just something that happened at IVC.
Yeah, it just randomly happened. I know, like, my coworkers, some of them, since they were little, you know, they know the route right now. Like, I talk to them, they know exactly where they want to be. Like, one wants to be a correspondent in SD, another one somewhere in Brazil. Like, they know, you know? And they ask me, what do you want to do next? I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Like, I never thought I would be here in the first place. So I just take it day by day, you know. I enjoy it. I like working here. That's probably the best part, just working with people I know here in the Valley. Yeah.
So whenever you're like doing like a story, do you get to pick where you go, or does the station tell you like, oh, we need you to go, you know, cover this? Or
that is the tough part. Every day I need to do I need to produce a package, so I need to deliver every day a story. Most of the time it's me looking for a story. Of course, there's a lot of events that happen here. So those sometimes will be already scheduled, you know, like, hey, there's an event this day.
Like yesterday's.
What was yesterday? I don't even know what day we're on.
Yesterday was Wednesday. It was at, was it women?
Oh, yes. There was a women's march. Yeah. So that one I had scheduled in advance. The domestic violence march. Yeah. The Women Haven put on. It was a pretty good march. Yeah. So that was an event that I knew, like, I knew about that one like months in advance too. So that's something that happens. But then there's also breaking news. You know, someone gets murdered, there's a crash, someone dies. those are like day by day. Sometimes I wake up and I have no idea what I'm gonna do. You know, I wake up, I'm like, what am I gonna cover today? Like nothing's happened. It's something. Sometimes nothing happens here in the valley. It's like so quiet, you know. But and then all of a sudden everything will happen, and you're like, what? But yeah, like my day to day, I wake up like 6 a.m. I log into my email and I usually like read police logs. ECPD is really good at sending those to us. So I read that, look at the crime that's been happening, you know, and sometimes there's something. So I'll go report on that. Sometimes there's nothing, you know. I do want to say a lot of my stories I have gotten from Imperial Valley Neighborhood Watch.
Oh, okay.
Are you on that group?
Yeah. Sometimes it's kind
Honestly,
of scary though.
it is a little scary. Some of the people on there could be very opinionated, so that's where it gets kind of iffy. But no, they're basically reporters. Everyone on there, you know, they report things like they'll take a picture and post it and tell you what time, what town, and I'll just follow up on it. And I've gotten stories like that. Sometimes we get tips. They'll send me a message, hey, there's a fire here, and then I'll rush over to it. But it's just like a day by day thing. Yeah.
And it's fun. It's funny because I don't consider myself a reporter, but sometimes I'll get like crazy like messages. Hey, did you know that this and that? I'm like, yeah, but I kind of don't want to know because you know I'm not the type of you know I'm not trying to be like a not gossip, but like you know. Just like, you know, I'd rather just talk to people and maybe bring some positivity instead of like bad news or whatnot or like chismes.
I get you. But people probably, they see that you work within the media, so they assume that you're, I don't know, you'll report on something like that.
And like today, that email for the event that's happening on Saturday, like out of the blues, like, oh, hey, you know, can you share this and you know use it or put it on your Facebook and you know I kind of like that, you know, I like that you know people like reaching out for events like that, stuff like that. But yeah, for other things I'm like, nah, you know what, because I have one guy that is constantly like sending me stuff. I'm like, you know what, dude, like what's
his name? I might know him.
No, I'll
start with a B.
No. Okay. No.
I have one guy that he sends me some stuff constantly. And it's sometimes excessive, but he gives really good tips sometimes that I have to thank him for, honestly.
Yeah, I mean when it comes to like that, like I understand, like it's helpful, but for me it's like, you know what, dude, I don't know, I just don't want you know, sometimes a backlash and this is just like my hobby and I don't want like to stress about, you know, people, I don't know, like. And
then you talk more about like community things and stuff like that. Yeah,
I mean,
it's a little different.
I like to focus on that and not. I mean, I know that's sometimes that, you know, you do have to talk about it because it's you know, impacts the community. But like most of the time I just try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But
it kind of works like that for us too. Like of course we have our breaking news, like current events, what's happening. But then there's also, I have to have like backup stories, like what's going on in the community. So in the back of my head, I already have like some points that like next week I might look into the homeless issue in Calexico because I know that's something that's, you know, we need to look into.
Yeah. And do you ever like report something or you're thinking of reporting something and then, you know, somebody else covers it and you're like, oh, dang, that was, you know.
Sometimes that does happen. Or sometimes, they give me an idea, you know. I follow Calexico Chronicle. I think they're really good. I follow them and I'll read their stories and I'm like, oh wow, I never thought of that, you know, or wow, that's something good. And I don't see it as competition, you know. Their print, there sometimes might be something that they report that I didn't know about, you know, and it's totally different writing from visual, you know. So some people, like some reporters might see it as competition. Like I've gone to like council meetings and stuff like that and like I'll get a dirty look and I'm like, hey, like we can be friends. And for the most part I am friends with most of the reporters that, I mean, we're always at the same events. Sometimes we're covering the same crime or something and I don't know, we can help each other out.
I mean, to me, like I'm always shouting out like other podcasts. Like to me it's like I don't care, like, you know, the more the merrier, you know. Yeah, like even today, like I got reached out by there's this podcast from Brawley, Triple Scoop.
Oh no, I haven't heard of it.
Hey, you want to be on the podcast? I'm like, yeah, you know, let me know when's a good day. So like we're trying to schedule that. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, you know, the more the merrier. You know, there's enough stuff for everybody to talk about.
No, yeah, it's when the only time I do get competitive is when maybe something like breaking news and I want to be the first one to put it out. But even then, it's just there's enough to go around.
Yeah.
You know.
So tell us a little bit, like when it comes to like going out to a location. Like the other day, I saw you were at where they found the
train tracks.
Or
which one?
There, and then also where at the barrel, you know, the body that they burned it.
Oh yes. And both of those were two homicides in El Centro. And both of those were within feet of each other. They were in the train tracks in El Centro near 2nd Street and Hamilton, in that area. And I remember for the first one, it was...
It was like an alley, or no, it was like next to the train tracks?
Yeah, it's just like a dirt like lot in the middle of nowhere. Some homeless sometimes are in that area, but, you know, like camping out and stuff like that. But in that specific area, the first time I went, they had found a dead body the day before or 2 days before, and that was a little sketchy because, like I said, I'm by myself. I don't have a camera guy, and I'm out there, you know, where a crime happened. Like they shot this guy. I want to say he was 28, 27. They shot him there, and I was there reporting on it. And it has happened to me before where I go to a scene of a crash or something and the victims show up. And also, like, so you never know. I was in the area and I'm like, you never know when a victim is going to show up, or, you know, sometimes how they say that the suspects show up at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
That really freaks me out, you know? So I was there. I tried to be in and out, you know, get my footage and all that and
yeah, but
get
like,
out of
you
there.
have to carry the camera, set it up, get your shot.
Yeah,
and
park your car. You're in some sketchy roads. That day I was driving my own car. So I was in this sandy lot and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could get a flat tire here. So,
yeah, I remember I think you were live streaming. I was like, man, like, be safe. Like, it's like crazy. Like
it can get dangerous sometimes. I've had a few instances too where like I have people come up to me. I don't get, like, people ask me, do you get recognized a lot? Like they think I'm famous because I'm on the TV. No, really, like I feel like there's only a few people who see the news and like they'll sometimes recognize me, but I want to say maybe like the criminals are the ones who follow up on the news, because I've been in some weird situations where they do recognize me and I'm like, oh whoa, like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, like they'll do something. They're like, "Oh, am I on the news?"
Yeah. And like we were talking about the Instagram. Sometimes I'm hesitant about posting because it's a small town. I don't even need to tell you where I'm at. If you look at the building in the background, you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
And if there's someone who doesn't like maybe a story I did on them, you never know. They want to retaliate or do something, you know.
Yeah.
When I've gone to court cases in Brawley. You're in the same room with these people, like their families show up to the court cases, and it can get a little sketchy.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
But I was watching that. Did you get to work with Roy Dorantes?
Yes.
So
yeah.
he recently, like,
he shocked the whole company here. Yeah. What was his? I want to say Friday was his last day. Friday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He said goodbye to the newsroom. He's following other endeavors. He's really passionate about film.
Yeah.
And he didn't have, from what he told me, he didn't have enough time to focus on that. So he's going to be focusing on that more.
Yeah, I was like, when I was watching his Facebook Live and he was talking about it, I was like, I wonder if Billy and Alexandra are like, have you ever seen The Wedding Singer?
No, I maybe have, but I think maybe I have, but a long time ago.
So there's a part in the movie where Adam Sandler is kind of like going like he's depressed because his wife left him or whatever. So there's this actor, what's his name? I think I wrote it here. John Lovitz.
I think so. Yeah.
So he's like Adam Sandler's competition as the wedding singer, right? So when he's going like depressed and he's kind of quitting wedding singing, he's like, this guy's going crazy, and like he's like more work for me. So I was like, I wonder if these guys are like that, but yeah, I mean, because Roy was all over.
Roy is leaving.
Yeah.
No, Roy, I can't believe he left.
I know, it's crazy. Like
it's a little true. There's not a lot of stories. We each have to cover a story, so sometimes it's like more stories for me, but no, he was like a great help to the station, because he tends to cover like different stories. If you've noticed, sometimes stories that like I don't want to get into, like I'll stay away from that.
Yeah, I think he covered like a lot of like city council stuff.
Yes, a lot of the IID, which I'm just like, wow. Ahora me tocar a mí. It's gonna be my turn to do all that stuff, But so yeah, we'll see.
So like I guess you're like a field reporter. That's what you would.
Yeah, MMJ. Yeah.
And it's only right now. How many are there out there?
So here in the valley, it's only me and Billy now, and then we have Nacieli. She's Telemundo.
Okay.
She does Channel 3. So a lot of the stuff she does is in Mexicali, and sometimes I'll connect with her, because she reports in Spanish. So sometimes if there's a good story in Mexicali, I'll go with her and report it on our English channel. Because we have 3 channels, which is Telemundo, and then we have NBC and CBS. Okay. Yeah. So here, you probably heard us like KYMA and KSWT.
But is it the same news broadcast for KSWT and KYMA?
Kind of. It's like our main station is in Yuma, and we're all it's under the same roof. So as far as the anchors, they're each assigned to a station. Me, since I'm a reporter and I'm here in the valley, we have less coverage here. So a lot of the stuff of what I report goes on both news channels, 11 and 13. Roy, he was strictly KSWT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you'll see some of the same reports on both channels, and you're like, wait, why are they doing the same thing? But yeah, we share some of the content just because there's not enough people sometimes. Yeah. Over there in Yuma, they have about 6 reporters. There's a little bit more reporters over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider like being an anchor, or just you would rather just?
I've done it before in school, and originally I wanted to do like there's a lot of reporters who do like half reporting and half anchoring, which I would maybe enjoy. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I like being outside and like working with the people. So I wouldn't want it to be like a Monday through Friday thing, just anchoring, because that's usually how it is. They want someone who's going to be like full-time anchor only. Because
I know Billy does it on the weekends, right? Like,
yeah, he does it on the weekends.
Yeah, because I remember like I was watching the TV on like the weekend, and I was like, hey, wait, why is he like anchoring?
I think right now he stopped doing it on the weekends, but he was. And he prefers reporting. He doesn't like anchoring as much, but like, yeah, sometimes he has to fill in for other people, and he'll do it. Yeah. Yeah,
me and Billy have this addiction for Funko Pops. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the little figurines. He has those all over the office.
Oh really?
In our office, on his desk, he probably has like 30. I don't know.
I have at work. I have like 15, I think. Overall, I have like a bunch of them, but I think the other day we were talking, I think he has way more than I do.
No, he has so many, and then we have ladies who come and clean the office. And I'm like, Billy, like, what? They have to move every little, like, figurine, It's, like, so funny.
And since you've done, like, both radio and TV, which one do you think you prefer better? Like, TV or?
I like radio. I do. I just haven't looked much into it. I've applied. Like, before I got this job, I would apply a lot to radio stuff, like, in San Diego. But I would never get called back for it. But I do like TV. Since I'm still young, I think I'll stick to TV, and then as I get older, I'm gonna navigate more towards radio. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think do you enjoy writing, like because I know like you were work for a paper, right? For a while.
Yeah, for the Daily Aztec.
How different is it like writing for like a newspaper? And because I guess you also do like a little script
for broadcast. Yeah, it's totally different. A newspaper is just more detailed, the whole story, whereas like for news, I write a little bit, like I'll write a sentence, and then like the soundbite, the person I'm interviewing will say the bulk of what's happening, and then I'll write a little bit more. It's just, so it's not just, I don't know. It's very different. And I have to do a story in a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus, so sometimes it's not as detailed as I would like it to be. There's only so much time in a newscast, so that gets tough.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to cut stuff out, and it's like, oh, that's kind of important.
Because when I was in high school, I was in the journalism class, and I used to write for the. They don't do it anymore. But before we would, write the newspaper, and it would go in the Calexico Chronicle. So
really? Oh wow, yeah. I don't think they've done away with that because when I was in high school, there was no journalism.
Yeah. My teacher was Mr. Thornburg.
Oh, okay, yeah. He was my teacher for English. Yeah.
So, but he was my journalism teacher.
Yeah, they took that class away. By the time I was in high school, we didn't have journalism.
They've been asking me if I would be willing to help out with a podcast maybe with the kids.
You should. That'd be really good.
But they need a teacher for this one class. So once they get the teacher, we'll probably get into it. Because they bought really nice. They asked me, hey, we have this money and we need to buy podcast equipment.
Oh yeah.
So really you're gonna ask what I my wish list, and I bought this really cool equipment that I'm
that's really
kind of dying to use.
So is it they're trying to start a radio at school or? Well, it would be like a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do in the library is convert it into a maker studio. So kind of if you want to do a video, they'll have an area where you have a green screen and,
okay.
And then if you want to do a podcast, they'll have a corner for you to do podcasts.
And they'll have the computers with the editing and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really good. Are they gonna have an actual class?
No, it's gonna be in the library during lunch if you want to come in or
yeah.
But they do have media classes. Right now they don't have a teacher yet, but once they get the teacher, last year they had a teacher, and they do short PSAs or.
You should teach it.
I mean, they actually wanted me to apply for the position, but I was nah, I like doing my tech stuff,
Yeah.
Because my day goes by really fast.
No, that's really cool. I'm glad they're doing something like that because it's needed here. When I subbed in San Diego, I would sub for some schools that, they were doing Photoshop and they were creating these posters for the theater class and they were learning real life things, that they can actually use, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to do any of that stuff.
Yeah. No, hopefully, they get things rolling so that we can do the podcast. That'll be fun because I have students reach out hey, somebody told me that you do a podcast, want to do one. Yeah, I'm we're gonna do it. Just once we get the teachers and stuff like that.
Did you hear that? I don't know if it was a study that kids now, if you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they say a YouTuber or something along the lines of that.
I think it's kids from the US, that's one of the main things they want to be YouTubers. And in China, a lot more kids want to be astronauts, but the US is YouTubers. I'm
that's so funny. Once when I was out filming, a little kid passed by and he was like, oh wow, are you vlogging? And I was like, no, I'm not vlogging. But I thought that was so funny. He thought I was vlogging. That's his generation.
Yeah, it's crazy how there's people that are making millions on YouTube.
I know it is.
And most of that was one thing I want to ask you. Do you have anybody that you see on TV or whatever that you're oh, I wish I was Barbara Walters or I don't know
No, I do enjoy radio, and I actually listen to more radio stuff. What I listen to is more random though. I don't know if you're familiar, but I listen to The Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, I listen to that.
What is it? Big Boys Neighborhood.
I like that.
My guilty pleasure, Wendy Williams, who she started in radio. It's just that they do the more happy stuff. What's happening with celebrities and gossip, and it's just it distracts you from other. I do see The View though. That is one of my shows that I see. Which people are always oh, you see that? I'm yeah, I like it. I don't always agree with what they say, but I like to hear the perspective on stuff. You know what's happening now with the current events. Yeah. Yeah,
for instance, going back to the YouTube stuff. For me, I watch somebody that I watch almost on the daily is Philip DeFranco.
Oh yeah, I used to watch him.
I watch him on the daily. I also watch Hot Ones. Sean Evans. You haven't seen that show, Hot Ones?
No.
They eat hot wings and they.
Oh wait, I think I have. I've seen the little clips.
That guy everybody that he interviews, they're like, man, you do your research, like you're a really good interviewer. So like I kind of like see these guys, and before you would see people on TV, reporters or whatnot, but now like for me it's like more like YouTubers that I kind of like look up to that I want.
Yeah.
Also like Shane Dawson. I don't know if you know who.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he does. I kind of like him because I feel that I'm kind of like him in the way that I try to go in the kind of like when somebody that's done something wrong, he usually tries to make people see that they're not that bad. So like that's sometimes I try to do that, kind of like give people the benefit of the doubt.
Tries to see both sides. Yeah.
He does that a lot, and kind of like the way he approaches like those type of people that are that had already been like put on this blacklist, and he's trying to like kind of like bring them back to like, because he's helped a lot of YouTubers like come back and grow their channel again and stuff like that.
Oh really? Who was the one that there was one that the whole forest and he posted something.
Yeah,
it was like a forest where people go and like it's
yeah,
known for suicide or something.
Yeah, these idiots. There's two brothers.
The Pauls, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul and Jake Paul. I think it was
Logan and Jake Paul. Yeah, those brothers are crazy.
Yeah, those guys aren't. They're super popular, but they're not. Good role models to like have kids.
Yeah, they straight up do stuff just for clicks, the content.
Yeah.
Who's the Logan, and then there's Jake. I think Jake, is he the one who just, I don't know why I know this I should not know this, but he like got married just for content, and he said like, and I think the girl he married is also a YouTuber, and they're both, we just got married for content. I'm like, how is that okay? That's what they're teaching kids. They have a lot of followers.
Oh yeah, a lot. That's why I say like I don't think those guys should be somebody that kids look up to or like or watch on a daily. But yeah, YouTubers are a big part of how I approach like the interviews I do, because that's what I watch like most of the day.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch clips on like from CNN or whatever, but because we don't have cable, we haven't had cable in a long time. Like we used to have cable, and my son, all he did was watch YouTube. So we're like, why even pay?
Yeah, I don't watch TV. I barely watch TV. Mostly because I'm so busy these days. But yeah, if I do watch, I'm watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Cause like The View, I watch that on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And that's like the only TV show I think I watch. Oh well, the only TV shows I watch is like The View and Wendy Williams, and I watch those on YouTube. So I don't turn on the TV. Like rarely do I turn on the TV.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Or Sundays now that football's back, like that's all day.
Yeah.
When it comes to editing, like, is it really like really simple stuff that you do? Like it does.
Oh, I do the most simple. Like I don't even put any like transition wipes or anything like that. Yeah, you'd probably crack up if you saw me edit. It's just simple clips,
So, but do you do like the edits on like your car, like in your car? Or you go home and download the footage, or?
It depends. I mean, I've had to edit in my car on my laptop when it's like breaking news and I need to turn it in now. So I'll edit on my laptop. I have a hotspot connected to that. But otherwise, I'll go to the office or I'll work from home too on my laptop and just edit. Yeah.
There's I don't know if you've seen that. There's a show on Netflix, but it's about these guys that are reporters, but they're not really reporters. But what they do is they work in LA. So at midnight or like 3 a.m, there's always like crashes, like car crashes.
Yeah, night crawlers.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's called night crawlers, but that's kind of.
I don't know if it's called that, but
I know there's a movie with that one actor. It's called Nightcrawler. That was very popular.
Oh, with what's his
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I think so.
Say. Yeah.
This show is that's what they do. Like it's two companies that go out at night and shoot crashes. And then they just send it to like the local news.
Yeah. That's what they call a stringer. We don't have any here in Yuma that I know of. They use that a lot in San Diego. There's they're kind of like freelancers, and there's maybe like you've seen the show. Yeah. So there's like freelancers in San Diego. We call them stringers, and they'll like be at a scene of a crime or a crash. They'll take footage of it and they'll send it to us. but our station has to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but our station could, like, the station I would work for, like, they sometimes didn't want to buy it. You know, they didn't want to waste the money. They're on a tight budget, so sometimes they'd have like several videos. Like, they work a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they'll work all day, and then sell, like, if they got, like, I don't know, say a crash, a fire, and something else.
The package. Yeah.
And they'll sell it as a package.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you these 3 videos for this amount.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So-
I learned a lot. Like, oh yeah, I got this package. Like, and they were
Yeah.
edited in the card. Because what happened is, you know, they're on the scanners. So like, oh, there's a crash on this freeway. So like they'll go and then they'll see their competition there. So like, you know, they'll get a good shot. They go to the car, edit it, and then boom, like upload
And
it.
beat them to it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's funny. Like,
How much money? Do you know how much money they would make?
I don't know, but one of them was like doing way better. So like he was putting the other one out of business, and for a while they were together. Like it's really interesting.
I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh, I'm so sad that I barely get time to watch anything. but-
And actually, one of my friends was in it because he's a CHP in LA. So like there was a press conference. Oh, and what happened was I don't know. I might spoil it for you, but there was an accident, and the guy that from the show that, you know, that's the freelancer. Like he saw the accident. The guy was like unconscious in his van, and like there was traffic coming by. So I think that's what happened. I can't remember exactly what it was. So the guy dropped his camera. He kind of like he kind of dropped his camera and put it so like, you know, so that there's footage of him like rescuing the guy.
Oh, wow.
So like I don't remember if the car was gonna get hit.
Did he make himself famous?
Yeah, I think so. So I don't remember if the car was gonna get hit or the car was on fire. I think the car was on fire. So he pulled the guy out. So they kind of like gave him a medal or like some award.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, he did save him, so.
yeah. So my friend was in that ceremony, the CHP. So it's like, hey, dude, you're on that show. I was like, yeah, I know.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I recommend that you watch the show. I can't remember what it was called though. But I'm sure if you put like,
I want to say someone had actually told me about it, but I haven't. No, I haven't had a chance to check it out.
is there any like news, like a story that you've done that's been like, oh wow, like impacting or?
I mean, there's stories that have made me cry. I do worry about stuff like that though, like being at a scene of like, I don't know, like a freak accident and being there and having to report in it, like
the weekend one that happened with the cyclist.
Oh, like the cyclist, yeah. See, I wasn't. If I would have to be there the day that it happened, like I reported the cyclist that just died. That happened Sunday. I reported on Monday. There was nothing in the scene of the crash, but like that sometimes scares me to be in like the scene when it's happening. And I mean that's what like reporting is about, right? They want you to be there and deliver the news right away, but that's kind of tough. Sometimes I go to stories and I'm like the cyclist, like I was like driving to go get footage. They actually told me about it on Sunday when it happened. I was here, but they told me about it like several hours later. So by the time I got there, there was no one there. But like I rushed there, and as I was driving, I was like, "Wow, Alex! Like you're not even thinking like, wow, I hope this guy is okay, or I hope their family is okay.
Yeah.
Like you're just worried about getting the story and like getting your footage." So sometimes that's something I think about, like, wow, like
Yeah.
where are your feelings? You know, like.
Yeah. But I mean, like at the end of the day, like it's not like you're really that person. It's just like, you know, it's your job, and you're like, you know, excited, like, oh, I'm gonna get a story or whatever. So
yeah, and it's like, dude, like someone just lost their father, and you're just over here worried about getting your story. So that's sometimes like, that can be tough.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, at the end of the day, like everybody's got their job to do, right?
Yeah, and we did try to contact the family of the cyclist, and like none of them wanted a interview, which is understandable, you know. There was 3 other cyclists that were injured also in that crash, and they didn't want to interview either. They were still like traumatized by it.
Right,
so yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy accident. Yeah, because I saw your Instagram when you were trying to get the jump the fence.
See, I was scared of being in the middle of the highway on 111 because cars go by really fast.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm there by myself. I was actually in my own car that day too. So yeah, you never know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And some people, they get distracted. They see someone with a camera and they're like this, you know. It happened yesterday at the march at Main Street. I was in the corner with the camera, and cars would like pass by, slow down, and like they had other cars beeping at them, and it's like, don't get distracted, you know? Yeah.
That's crazy. So is there anything else that you would want to add that we didn't touch on?
Not that I can think of. I don't know.
No. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, we're 40 minutes into the podcast. I think that's a good.
As much as people are gonna listen, 40 minutes.
I've had one that's like, I think the longest is like an hour and 40.
Oh wow. Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah. I mean, because the Joe Rogan podcast can be like 3 hours sometimes, and sometimes I'll listen to a whole podcast. And but I think my happy medium is like 30 to 45 minutes. Anything past that is like, yeah, because I mean 30 to 45 minutes is an hour show on TV, so I think that's a good, just with commercials it makes it an hour, but like if you take off the commercials it's like 45 minutes, so I think
that's true.
That's a good happy medium, like 30 to 45. That's sometimes where I try to shoot, but sometimes like people are like, you know,
and sometimes I do like the long podcast because I'll listen to it in parts, you know, like when I'm driving. Right now, there's one podcast that I listen to called Ear Hustle. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like one that's made in prison, and it's like by inmates, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard about it. I think someone made a report on it on NPR or something.
Maybe it's out of San Quentin prison. Yeah.
The one that I listen on a daily, it's called The Daily. It's done by the New York Times.
Oh, I think I've listened to that one before.
And then Wednesdays, Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee. He's a comedian.
Oh, no, yeah.
That one's good. I was actually kind of like a guest on it.
Really?
They called me because I tweeted something like, "Oh, I wish the guys from Tiger Belly would be my friends." Like we're your friends. Give us your number. Like we'll call you. And yeah, they called me, and then I was like all like starstruck, so I didn't know what to say. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, where are you from? A lot of people like, hey, you're the guy from I'll be at a Applebee's or whatever. I'm like, hey, are you the guy from?
Really?
Yeah, because they'll look for me on Facebook. Because like people say like, oh yeah, my name's Jose and I'm from Calexico. So like they look for me on Facebook. I actually had a guy on Facebook like send me a friend request or a message like, hey, you're the guy from Tiger Belly.
They're all trying to be your friends now. No, that's really funny. But no, you need to give me advice about a podcast. I would love to start a podcast one day.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. Like I think especially if you have a co-host, somebody that you can just like get along and like talk about like you said, like when you had the radio show.
When I had a radio show, it was with my best friend. So yeah, we would just go on and on about random stuff.
Yeah,
which can sometimes be bad because you get sidetracked and like, okay, we're off topic here.
But I think sometimes those are the best ones when it's just like two people like sharing their opinions, and sometimes like people might not agree with you, but I mean that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that because like Joe Rogan, like I don't agree with everything he says.
Yeah.
But I still like the people he interviews, the way
see his view, and see the other people that he's interviewing. And it's so different, like, from journalism. Like, my job, I'm not able to give my opinion about anything, And, like, podcasting, you can,
Yeah.
Your opinion's allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, somebody that was like, man, why would he have him on the podcast was Alex Jones. And Joe Rogan had him. And I was like, but, yeah, like, you kind of, like, at the end of the day, like, kind of Joe Rogan kind of knows that guy's, like not okay and not right what he says and does, but he still I guess he still gives the people the benefit of the doubt and let them tell their side of the story, which at the end of the day, like I feel that's important too, like for people to know and listen to two sides of the story. But yeah, well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me. It's super cool.
Hopefully you'll have one of your own pretty soon.
Hopefully I have one that you can be a guest on.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be super cool.
I'm trying to get, because remember we were talking about my son, like
oh yeah, you were doing one with your son, a podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince him to do it again, because I think it's fun for me to talk to him about new stuff that he probably never would have looked into, but sometimes he's more into like his own thing, like, oh, I want to watch YouTube or play video games. Or
you need to tell him that podcasting is where the money's at.
Yeah. That's what I tell him, like, dude, like I told my brother, hey, sponsor, my son's podcast. So he sees that, if he gets enough sponsors, like he'll make a little bit of cash on the side. And I told him, like, look, dude, like the money's like there, but you don't want to do it. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. Just remind me. I'm waiting for you to tell me. I'm like, dude.
How old is he?
He's 11.
Okay. Oh, he's so young.
He's gonna be 12 this month in the 2027.
But yeah, he just needs to pick something he likes. I think that's important. And like, also, I feel like the podcasts that are successful, they have like a niche, something that they're really into. So
yeah, especially now with like social media like YouTube. Like my guest Bernadette Plazola. I don't know if you know the girl plays the ukulele.
No.
Well, she's from Calexico. She has like 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's her job. Like she does, YouTube's her job.
YouTube videos. Oh wow! See, that's a dream too. I need to get into that.
Yeah, and I learned. I mean, I've done YouTube for a while, and I learned a lot from her. But yeah, she found that niche for like who would have thought that there was a big ukulele community out there, and that's true. She found it, and she's that's her job. She does ukulele.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's pretty cool. No, I need to find my niche first though.
Yeah.
I used to be really into I am into fitness, but I used to have like an Instagram just for fitness. This was maybe like 4 years ago, but like I gave up on it, But like I'm so mad at myself. I feel like if I would have kept up, it would have maybe been somewhere, So you never know.
I think that's something that a lot of people that go into this like feel like, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel and it's gonna like get 100,000
like
subscribers,
blow up,
and it's not like that. Like, it takes a while to like pick up. And
I had a friend. She was working in LA with getting like YouTube talent, like a company that they would get. They would look at YouTube talent and then get advertisements for them and stuff like that. And she would kind of tell me how it would work, but yeah. I don't know. It seems kind of hard at the same time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially since you're pretty much your own production company.
Yeah,
right? You gotta shoot your videos, edit them, create the content and stuff like that. Like look for the content that's gonna get the viewers. So it's a job in itself. Like even though people think like, oh yeah, YouTubers just walk around with the camera, like no.
And now that I know a little bit more, because honestly, I didn't know anything about editing. Even my camera, the JVC, I know the basics of it. You see me with a big camera, you think I'm probably a pro, but no. Yeah, I used to use my cell phone a lot for stuff because it was just simpler.
That the camera? Is that yours or?
It's from my work. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're responsible for it.
Yeah, because I've seen it. It's it's not a cheap camera. It's a really.
Yeah, it must be like $5,000 to $6,000. Yeah. And I finally got my own because like the first 3 months I was sharing with Billy. They had a sharing equipment. So I would use my cell phone a lot. I bought a tripod for it. Would use my cell phone, the mic, the lavalier. And I mean, it would turn out pretty good. Quality is good on the iPhone. And it was much simple. Just press the red button and that's it.
Yeah.
The big camera is a little more complicated with the white balance and all that.
Yeah.
And it's also heavier. But there was an advantage to the iPhone. I would get a lot of people to do interviews because they were less intimidated by the iPhone. So they see the big camera and they're just like, oh, they won't want. They don't want to.
Yeah. Alrighty. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking this time off. I know you're super busy and it was short notice,
Oh, I know. It was super short notice. You're like, can you come tomorrow? I was like, wait, I need to schedule this in advance. But no, it's fine. The only thing I had to do was like go to the gym. See, I still have time to go to the gym.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to go check out Alexandra's
You can
Instagram.
follow me on Instagram at Alexandra KSWT. I might be changing that handle pretty soon, but Alexandra Rangel.
Yeah. So they can check out the behind the scenes of our stories. It's really, really, really fun. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.